never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. What team is next on my prediction list for the upcoming 2024 college football season? I'll tell you in a couple of minutes, but first, I want to do a quick Braves review. I have not done one yet this week. Currently, the Braves sit at 17 wins and 6 losses, 23 games into the season, which is the best record in baseball. They have a 3-game lead over the Philadelphia Phillies. The Braves are off tonight. Then they kick off a 3-game series with the Cleveland Guardians tomorrow night. Game 2 will be Saturday night, and Game 3 will be Sunday afternoon. The Guardians are also in first place in their division. But the Braves right now sit at 17-6, and Austin Riley is not hitting, and Matt Olson is not hitting. And they currently have the best offense in baseball. So if and when Riley and Olson start hitting, it should get even better. Now, Austin Riley is notoriously a slow starter, but Matt Olson's not normally this slow of a starter, but he did manage to get a hit last night to raise his batting average to 216, which is pitiful. And I think Austin Riley's right around 245, which is also pitiful. But the fans are worried about Ronald Acuna Jr. because his power numbers are way down, and there's no denying that they are. But I'm an old school, old-fashioned baseball fan, and he's a leadoff hitter. His batting average is fine, and he's still in bases. I don't care if he only has 15 home runs this year. As long as he gets 50-plus steals and hits around 290 or 300 and draws his walks, I don't give a darn about his home runs. Yeah, his home run numbers are down, but as long as he gets on base and steals bases, he's a leadoff guy. That's the most important thing. Now, if his batting average starts to dwindle and starts to drop, then we can get worried. The Braves bullpen struggled for a while, but it's been pretty doggone good here recently. I know that Iglesias blew his first save of the season last night, but that's going to happen. Ain't no closer going to go through a whole season without blowing a save unless he only has maybe 10 chances all year long. But outside of that, the bullpen's been pretty good the last couple of weeks. But when Bummer pitches again, we'll find out how much progress the bullpen's made, because as bad as he sucks, he has a fitting last name because it's a bummer when Bummer comes in the game. But on to college football. The team I picked this time for my early season preview is the Florida Gators. And the reason why I picked them is because there's been a lot of talk lately about how much improvement they're going to show this year. And me personally, I think if they're going to keep Billy Napier around, they're going to have to win at least 8 games this year, because we know how Florida is. If you don't come in and win right away, you're out the door. And his first couple of years in Gainesville have not been good. So I figured I would look at their schedule and see if I think they're going to get to 8 wins, because I think if they don't, then Billy Napier will be out the door. The season starts out with a pretty hard non-conference game, but then after that, the schedule, in my personal opinion, is pretty easy up until November, and then in November, their schedule is about as tough as you can get. They do not have an easy game in the month of November, but they open up August 31st, non-conference game against one of their rivals, and that is the Miami Hurricanes. And then they play a non-conference game against Samford on the 7th of September. Texas A&M on September the 14th. The Bulldogs of Mississippi State on September 21st. And then their first bye week is week 5, the final weekend in September. Then they open up October on the 5th, a non-conference game against Central Florida. Then they play Tennessee on October the 12th, Kentucky on October the 19th, and then their second bye week comes week 9, the final weekend in October. And then we get to November, where they play Georgia on November the 2nd, Texas on November the 9th, LSU on November the 16th, Ole Miss on November 23rd, and of course they wrap up the season with Florida State on November the 30th. So in November, they play Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. And personally, the way their offense has looked the first 2 seasons under Billy Napier, I think they lose all 5 of those games. Maybe by November, their offense has improved enough to where they sneak out one of the 2 between LSU and Ole Miss. But unless they show dramatic improvement, they're not beating Georgia or Texas or Florida State. It's just not going to happen. But before that, to me, the schedule for the one game in August and September and October is okay. I mean, it's not anything that you look at and it's scary, but Florida's offense, to me, just, it looks pedestrian. I mean, it's about as average as you can be. And this day and time, football is all about offense. And if you can't score but 21, 24 points a game, you're not beating a big-time team. It's just not going to happen. I think they lose to Miami only because that's the first game of the season. And I think their offense was so bad last year, I just don't see them coming back in game 1 and putting up 40+. So I think they'll lose to Miami. Obviously, they beat Samford. I don't trust Texas A&M. They'll beat them. They'll beat Mississippi State. I think they beat Central Florida. And I think they beat Kentucky. The only other game I see them losing in September and October is Tennessee. And I know Florida seems to beat Tennessee every year. Florida could go 1-11 and Tennessee could go 11-1, and their one loss would be to Florida. Somehow, some way, Florida always beats them just about. But I think this year Tennessee gets some revenge. I think Tennessee finally beats them this year. So if they lose to Miami, and then they lose to Tennessee, and then they lose all 5 games in November to Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State, that'll put them at 2-2 out of conference, and 3-5 in conference, 5-7 overall. And if that happens, then Billy Napier will be shown the door. So if you want to see Napier stick around, then you better hope they can beat LSU and Ole Miss, and maybe even pull off the upset against either Miami or Tennessee and get to 8-4, because I think anything less than 8-4, he's gone. That's just my personal opinion. Any thoughts on this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Did you know that artists aren't what they seem? Soulja Boy was never a soldier. Dr. Dre is not a doctor. Adele is not a computer. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.